we're talking to Katrina Wybrow today from Wybrow Associates about the Outsourced Chief Financial Officer, or CFO. So, Katrina, what is the outsourced or personal CFO?
Well, it's a specialised service that I offer here at Wybrow Associates, and what it is managing your overall affairs. Wikipedia describes a Chief Financial Officer, or CFO, as someone who does the financial planning. They do the record keeping. They also report to higher management, and in this case higher management is actually you, the client. I like to refer to the service as your personal Chief Financial Officer. So really the service is exactly the way Wikipedia describes it, except it's done on a personal basis.
Okay, so Katrina, how do you have all this information?
Well, I work in a collegiate way with other advisors. So it's a case of looking at the overall situation, identifying the issues, and either working with the client's existing advisors or sourcing advisors if the client doesn't have them that can resolve a particular issue. For instance, if you have a boundary dispute with one of your properties, you may need a very good property lawyer. If you're a small business owner that's selling your business, I might identify that you have quite complex capital gains tax issues that we need to seek advice on. It may well be that you may have estate planning matters that we need to address. So as part of the overall planning and management, we're looking at those issues and working with the right advisors to get those outcomes. As a licensed financial advisor, I can look at a situation and know what needs to happen and how we need to engage.
Okay, so who is this service suitable for?
Well, I like to think that it's suitable for anyone who comes into wealth suddenly, particularly. So in that category are perhaps people that lose a partner and their partner used to manage the finances and suddenly the person that's left is finding that overwhelming. I had an inheritor the other day who said, look, this is great that I've got this inheritance, but I don't want to spend my life managing the inheritance. I want you to make it really simple for me so I can enjoy the proceeds of this inheritance and enjoy my life, and you can worry about how it's managed.
So making their inheritance work for them rather than working with their inheritance.
That's exactly right. The other group of people that we often see are people who perhaps become unwell, and managing their finances, particularly if it's a large portfolio, then becomes a burden. And so that we can do the ongoing management and report to them and take care of things for them so that they don't have to worry. We had a very interesting client a little while ago. Her husband had passed away and he'd been a very able financial manager of their finances. And when we said that we had actually done the work to find out how much she actually had as part of her portfolio, oh no dear, she said, you've made a mistake. And I said, well, that's possible, but we haven't. And this client had several $1 million that they weren't aware of because they had just been too overwhelmed with grief to manage it. So we were able to go through our analysis, look at the bank account, have a look at the dividends coming in, and from the size of the dividends, work out exactly what holdings the client had and then put that in some order for them. So the client was a bit shocked, actually. So all of those people that I've mentioned as clients, in different ways, find their situations overwhelming. Most of us would love to win the lottery and the lotto, but it does come with problems. And most people think that that's not really true, but it is, because everybody's read a story in a magazine or a newspaper about somebody inheriting or getting incredible wealth through a windfall and then losing the lot.
You inherit new problems.
Yes. I like to say, newer and more interesting problems, but they still need careful management. And I think most people do feel a sense of responsibility when they come into money of that ilk. It does need careful management and planning. And if you don't already have a trusted advisor, who do you trust? Who do you turn to?
And I think that's one of the most important points, is a trusted advisor, someone that you can trust to manage a large amount of money or financial windfall. So what qualifies you providing this service?
Well, I've been a licensed financial advisor for 26 years now, so quite some time. Anybody watching this can see I'm not young. And my grey hairs are well hidden, but they're still there.
You've also been a business person for 3 decades as
I
well.
have. I've had quite a lot of experience in business. My father was in business. We used to speak about business over the dinner table, which some people wouldn't be to their taste. But I think what it does for you is you understand very deeply what's important, what's urgent, how to put things in the proper baskets, how to access the right advisors, how to brief them properly. It's very important. Other lawyers and accountants, real estate agents, they love working with me because they're briefed properly about what outcome we need, when we need it by, and that actually gives them a very good brief of what to do, how to do it, and the outcome that we want.
So what you're saying is you're the conduit between advisors, that there is continuity between the structures.
Yes, because we might be dealing with a number of people on different issues. So I'm the person that has the overall view and, if you like, has the client's objectives right front and centre for me, so that I know what we're working to for them, and all the others advisors are then working to that brief as well.
Okay, so what really qualifies you is you look at things from very experienced eyes.
Yes, I do. Because I think once you've been in business for a long time, it becomes quite obvious and plain to you the things that need to be done and happen, and in what order.
Second nature to you.
Yes, it is. But for someone going through this for the first time, it can be overwhelming. I really have that sense with people. I had a call today from a gentleman who's dying, and that's very sad. But it's a fact of life. He's really concerned that his wife will be left with their portfolio the way it is. And he said to me, all these things, I know they're not quite right. I meant to attend to them, but now I must. And I really don't want my wife to have any more stress than she's going to have to go through.
Leaving her with more burden.
Exactly. And I was able to say to him, look, I can immediately, from our phone conversation, see what we need to do. I've identified the steps already in my own mind. Now, obviously, we'll have to have a conversation, go through all the financials, and I'll step them through every piece of that in some detail. But in my mind, I've already gone through and I know what we need to do.
You've already built the structure of how things need to happen.
Exactly. And I can see, I said to the client, I can see what needs to happen, and I know we can do good work together. And I know that your wife will benefit from this work that we can do together. And I could hear the relief in this man's voice. I could hear it over the phone. Oh, good, he said. When can I come in? I want to come in as soon as possible.
Well, that's all well and good, Katrina. But can I ask, how do you charge?
Well, what I like to do is sit down with the client and identify a brief. So we identify the things that the client wants to deal with. We document that. They sign off on it. And I look at time, cost and complexity.
So a scope of works.
Yes, there's a scope of works. And we agree on that jointly. The client signs off on it, and then we undertake the work. So the client always knows exactly what it costs and what they'll get for that, because it's in writing.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for that, Katrina. If you'd like to know more about this unique service and you think it could help you, give us a call or email us and we can discuss how you may like to work with us.